Hey guys, you're welcome back to my channel. Today thank you so much for stopping by. In my last video we drafted out a pattern for this shoulder cupped corset dress with drape, and in this tutorial we're going to be joining our pieces together. In case you've not seen the pattern drafting tutorial, I'm going to leave the link in the comment section, so go ahead and watch that tutorial before you come join us on this one. Is going to help you understand better. After drafting out the pattern, I went ahead to place my pattern on my fabric folded into two, and I added half an inch allowance all around the cup areas, and then I went ahead to cut. After cutting on my lining, I'm going to place this lining on the main fabric, and I'm going to go ahead and cut exactly as it is. So I've gone ahead to cut all my fabrics, and this is what it looks like. I'm going to go ahead and work on the front first, and for the front we'll work on the cup first. What I'll do is to remove my pins from the front pattern, and I'm going to open it up. So I have two lining piece and two main piece for the cup. This is what they look like. What I'm going to do is to open them up just like you see me doing, right sides facing me, and then I'm going to go ahead and take in these darts that you can see. So whatever I do on the main piece, I'll go ahead and repeat the same thing on the lining piece. What I'll do is to fold in my darts, and I'm going to take it on the lining. I'll also take it on the main fabric. After sewing my dart in place, this is what I have for the main piece, as you can see, and I repeated the same thing for the fabric, and this is what it looks like. So once I place them on each other, this is what it's going to look like. You can see that everything aligns. The next thing we're going to work on is the center front and the two sides front. So I'm going to go ahead and open my center front up. Remember that your center front should be on fold. I'll open it up like this, and this is what I have. I have one piece for the lining, and I have another piece for the main fabric. So I'm going to open it up, and I'll bring my two side fronts. The side front, I'll go ahead and remove my pin. So I have 4 pieces for the side front, 2 for the front and 2 for the back. So I have my lining piece and the main piece. I'm going to place them just like this, as you can see, okay, beside the center front, and this is what it looks like. So I added half an inch on this part that I'm going to stitch, and I repeated the same thing for the lining piece. So once I stitch them together, this is how I'm going to place the cup before sewing. So what I'm going to do is to place them right sides facing right sides. So I'll place the side front on the center front, right side facing right side, and I'm going to use the half an inch allowance that I left there to stitch all the way down. After sewing on this side, I'll repeat the same thing for this other side, and I'll also repeat the same thing for my lining piece. After sewing them in place, this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like. Like I said, I repeated the same thing for my lining piece. The next thing I'm going to do is to create boning channel, because I'll be adding boning to this dress. So I went ahead to cut out this long piece of fabric. It can be as long as you want, but the wideness is 1.5 inches, as you can see. So I'm going to use it to cover the joining that I have on this front piece. I'll sew it, and then I'll turn it over and I'll sew it down. So the fabric you will use for your boning channel should be as wide as the boning you'll be using, and you can do as many boning channel as you want. I'll be doing just 5. So I'm going to place my fabric on it, I'll sew, and then I'll turn it over and I'm going to sew. I've gone ahead to do that, and this is what I have, guys. So the next thing I'm going to do is to sew my cup to the cup area. Before I do that, remember I added half an inch to the cup area while I was cutting on my fabric. I'm going to mark the half an inch all the way around this cup area. As you can see, I'm doing this so that when I'm sewing, I'm going to sew more accurately. So I'm going to measure half an inch all the way around. After doing that, I'm going to bring in my cup and I'm going to pin my cup around this half an inch area. The half an inch is my stitching allowance. Remember, I also have half an inch allowance on the cup, so I'll be sewing with half an inch. I'm going to go ahead and pin all the way around. After pinning, I'm going to go ahead and sew. For sewing, make sure you pin one cup in place and make sure it's sitting perfectly. Sew one cup before you sew the other one. Don't sew them together. Just pin one, go ahead and sew. If that one is okay, then you can go ahead and pin the second one and sew. After sewing both cups together, this is what it looks like. Then I realized that my center front is not as sharp as what you can see on the thumbnail, but I don't want to cover my boning channel up, so I'm going to leave it that way. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat the same thing that I did on the main fabric on this lining piece. So I'm going to mark half an inch all the way around, and then I'm going to place my cup and I'll pin one cup first. I'll go ahead and sew. After sewing, I'll go ahead and pin the second cup. After sewing everything in place, this is what it looks like on the inside and what it looks like on the outside. The next thing I'm going to do is to insert my cup. So I'll be using a ready-made bra cup for this tutorial. You can decide to leave it like this, but I want to add a ready-made bra cup because that is what my client wants. Okay, this is also my lining piece. So before I join the lining and the main fabric together, I'm going to pin the cup in place. So I'll open the top to the right side, sorry, to the wrong side, and I'm going to place the cup. As you can see, you can use needle and thread to tack the cup all the way around. You can also place hemming gum on the cup and iron both the cup and the fabric together, just so the cup will stick to the fabric. And you can use a gum, any type of gum, to hold it down. I'll be using a gum to hold it down. So what I'm going to do is to melt my gum. Okay, after doing that, I'm going to just place it inside and I'll gum everything. So whatever you want to do, take your time and do it, and make sure that the cup is really stick to your main fabric. After doing that, guys, this is what I have. I'll show you guys what it looks like on the outside. Okay, this is just to secure the cup in place. So whatever method, whichever method you want to do, just go ahead and do it. This is what mine looks like on the outside. Okay, and this is what it looks like on the inside. Since I'm satisfied with what I have, the next thing I'm going to do is to sew my lining piece and the main fabric together. So I'm going to place them right sides facing right sides, as you can see, and I'm going to pin all the way around. After pinning, I'm going to sew the neckline and the sides. So I'll pin the neckline in place. I'll also sew the sides. I'm going to leave the armhole area and the shoulders, okay, and the base. So the only place I'm sewing is the neckline and the sides. After sewing, I'm going to go ahead and iron everything flat, and I'm going to turn it to the right side. So I've gone ahead to do that, and this is what I have. This is what it looks like on the inside and what it looks like on the outside. The next thing I'll do is to insert boning to the boning channel that I already created. So I'll be using this plastic boning, and it's about 1/4 inch wide. So I'm going to measure what I have, and I'll reduce the boning by 1 inch. The boning should be 1 inch or half an inch shorter than your half length, because we'll be joining the skirt part, and this boning is not a sewable boning, so we don't want it to interrupt what we are going to sew. So I'll make sure it is about half an inch shorter than the fabric. I'll pass the boning through all the channels that I have. As you can see, I'm using my lighter to conceal the ends of the boning. So after passing my boning through, this is what I have. I'm going to go ahead and iron everything flat. Okay, and this is my back piece. I'm going to go ahead and remove my pins, and I have 4 pieces here, 2 pieces for the lining and 2 pieces for the main fabric. So I'm going to open it up like this. So what you are going to do first of all is to take in your darts, if you are taking in your darts. So go ahead and take in your darts. After doing that, I'm going to place the lining piece and the fabric together, right sides facing right sides, and then I'm going to go ahead and sew the neckline. I'll also sew the opening at the back. I'll sew the zipper area, and I'll sew the sides. I'm going to leave the armhole area and the shoulder area just like we did for the front. I'm going to leave that part, and I'll sew the rest. After doing that, I'm going to notch, I'll turn inside out, and I'm going to iron everything in place. So guys, this is the skirt part. I've already gone ahead to use my lining piece to turn the skirt, and this is what it looks like. I also went ahead to take in my darts. What I'm going to do is to bring the front piece just like this, and I'm going to place them like this. So what I'll do is to mark the center of my upper bodice, and I'll also mark the center of the skirt. I'll indicate the center using my chalk. After doing that, I'm going to place them right sides facing right sides, center to center, and then I'm going to go ahead and pin all the way to the end. After pinning in place, I'm going to go ahead and sew, and now iron. I've gone ahead to do that, and this is what it looks like. I'll repeat the same process for the back piece. So these are the 2 skirt parts. I've gone ahead to turn everything using my lining, and I've ironed in place. What I'm going to do is to bring the upper bodice, and I'm going to place them right sides facing right sides on each other. So I've sewn the upper bodies in place also. I'm going to place them just like I did for the front. Okay, I'll place them, I'll pin all the way around, and I'll go ahead and sew using the half an inch that I left on the waistline while I was drafting. So guys, I've gone ahead to sew the waistline in place, and this is what it looks like. I'm going to go ahead and fix my zipper to the zipper allowance that I left, and I'll also iron everything in place. I've fixed my zipper, and this is what the back is looking like. I'm going to open it up for you guys to see. So I used an invisible zipper for this dress. This is what it looks like. The next thing I'm going to do is to join both front and back piece together, and I'll start with the shoulders. So I'm going to bring in my front piece, and I'm going to open up the 2 shoulder area for both the front and the back. I'm going to place them like this, lining to lining and fabric to fabric. I'm going to go ahead and sew. So I'll make sure they align on the neckline area. After doing that, I'm going to sew on a straight line. I'll repeat the same thing for the other parts of the shoulders. After sewing the shoulder in place, guys, this is what I have. This is what it looks like on the back, and also what it looks like on the front. Okay, you can see that the rough edges of the shoulder is inside the lining and the main fabric. The next thing I'm going to do is to place my body measurements. I'll place my bust circumference divided by 2 on the bust area. On the waistline, I'll place my waist circumference divided by 2. On the hip line, I'll place my hip circumference divided by 2, and I'll go ahead and shape my dress. I've gone ahead to do that by only sewing one side of the dress. The other one I stopped at the waistline. So this is the opening that I left, but I've marked where I'm supposed to sew. As you can see, the straight line that I used, the line that I used my chalk to mark, so that is the line that I'm going to sew. I've already used my chalk to mark the line. What I'm going to do is to bring in the fabric that I'll be using for my drape, and I'm going to measure it for you guys to see. So the wideness of this fabric is about 26 inches, and the length totally depends on you, depends on how long you want your drape to be. Okay, so I've gone ahead to hem the two ends of this fabric. What I'm going to do now is to place the fabric on the front piece, as you can see, and I'm going to go ahead and pleat. I'll start immediately after the waistline. So you can see the way I placed my fabric and I pleated it like this. I'll go ahead and pin it down. I'll go ahead and keep pleating. So do whatever you want to do. You can decide to gather, you can decide to pleat, you can also mark what you want to pleat. So for me, I'm just freestyling this. So I'll go ahead and pleat. I'll hold it down using my pin. I'll keep doing that till I get to the end of the fabric. Guys, once I'm getting to the end, I'm no longer pleating. I'm just going to go ahead and pin the remaining parts down. So you can go ahead and run a straight stitch on it to hold it down. After doing that, I'm going to turn my dress inside out to the wrong side, and then I'm going to push the drape inside. I'll push it inward, and then I'll go ahead and pin. So I already left the space where I want to sew on my fabric, but you can still go ahead and shape it from here also. Like I said, I stopped the shaping at the waistline, so I'm just going to sew from the hip down to the base of the dress, and I've gone ahead to do that. I've ironed everything in place, and this is what the dress looks like on the outside. So this is the drape. Go ahead and iron it, arrange everything properly, and then iron it in place. So in order to secure it on the other side, you can go ahead and arrange it and then sew it down on the other side. You can wait for your client to come for fitting, and then you can tack it, or you can create like a belt holder on the other side of the dress, and you're going to push the drape inside. So it depends on what you want to do with it. Last thing I'll do is to fix my sleeves. So for this tutorial, I didn't do the sleeves that you can see on the thumbnail. I decided to do a gong sleeve because that is what my clients want. So I have a detailed tutorial on how to cut and sew these sleeves. I'll be leaving the link in the comment section, so go ahead and watch it. It's very easy and very detailed. So I'm just going to fix these sleeves to the armhole area of my dress. And yeah guys, that is all for this tutorial. I hope it was helpful. Don't forget to like this video, leave your questions in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.